What's up, Planeswalkers? It's your boy K-Dog, back in Standard with a little best of one jank for you guys. This one we're playing with a lot of new cards, and the main build around here was Spitfire Lagac. It's a 4 mana, 3 in a red for a 3/4 lizard. A landfall trigger. Whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. So we're basically just trying to find ways to abuse this as much as possible, especially if we can get multiples of these out. Another thing that we can kind of use as kind of a win condition is Valakut Exploration. Lagac is a common, so it's going to be pretty easy to craft. This one is a rare, and it's a little bit harder to really abuse and get value off of, so it might be a little bit tricky to craft these if you haven't already opened some of these in your packs so far. But if you have a couple of these, definitely try to squeeze these into this list. But there are a couple other cards that are a little bit rare, but there's quite a few budget-friendly cards in here. But it all just kind of depends on what you've opened so far. Lots of new cards, so it may take a little while to kind of build up to this. But if this is something you're interested in, it's a little bit jankier anyway, so don't worry about it too much. So Valakut Exploration, 3 mana enchantment, landfall trigger. Whenever land enters under control, you exile a top card for your library, and you can play that card for as long as it remains exiled. At the beginning of your next step, if there are cards exiled with the exploration, put them into your graveyard. Then it deals that much damage to each opponent. So by that much damage, it means for total number of cards. So you have 1 card exiled, you deal 1 damage to your opponent. So obviously, if you want to get multiple landfall triggers, you can deal 2-3 cards to exile, and then you'll deal 2-3 damage whatever to your opponent. And obviously, we can do some pretty crazy things, especially if you get into the late game. You can get lots of mana and actually cast some of those cards and get additional value, and just kind of keep going and just do really crazy things. Alright, so we also have Lotus Cobra. This is definitely something you should be working on crafting towards. This is one of those cards it's like a Paradise Druid type of card where anything green really goes into, except this one's much more abusable. I'm sure you've already probably seen some of that. So definitely get 4 of these, and we're playing Lotus Cobra in here as well. It can help us kind of ramp and kind of get our Lagac down on turn 3 and things like that. We also do need some interaction, so we're going with Thundering Rebuke. It is a sorcery speed, but 2 mana to deal 4 damage to any creature or planeswalkers. It seems like it's this, it's kind of the new Lava Cold, but you also beat it planeswalkers as well is pretty sweet. So not the best removal, but it is pretty solid for what we're trying to do, and we're on the jankier side, so we don't necessarily need instant speed interaction for rogues and that sort of thing. Hopefully your opponent's not playing rogues in unranked play, because rogues are pretty darn good. Also, we need Azusa and Radha as our ways to kind of hit additional land drops. Radha fits in really well because we're going to be going through our deck, making lots of lands, trying to get lots of landfall triggers and things like that. So her activated ability for 6 mana to pump her up could be a nice way to kind of close out the game. But mostly just being able to play lands off top of your library. If you draw a spell but you want to sonate your landfall triggers, well, Radha lets you basically cast lands from your library, so it helps you hit your land drops. And Azusa, just 2 copies here. Of course, both these are legendary, but I think Radha is a little bit more important, and she's obviously just better overall. But Azusa fits in really well with our plan as well by being able to play additional lands on each of your turns. And of course, you have Azusa and Radha out at the same time with your Lagac and your exploration, all that stuff. I mean, it just gets pretty insane. Playing Scute Swarm here for the memes, also kind of an alternate win condition, and also it's kind of like if your opponent's running a fair amount of removal, it'll be a distraction. So hopefully they'll target this with the removal, and then they won't have removal to kill your Spitfire Lagac, or they'll just look at it and don't think it's that worrisome, and then they'll kill your Lagac or your Radha or whatever instead. So Scute Swarm, obviously, early access got abused quite a bit, obviously with Mutate and things like that. We're not doing anything like that, but it does kind of help us survive against other kind of go wide type of strategies or other kind of creature heavy decks where we can just make lots of 1/1s. We don't really care about the mutate, like whatever, like making this like 4/4s or any of that kind of busted stuff. We can just kind of make a wide army of 1/1s. I mean, we can get lots of landfall triggers and just make 1 million of these, so we can just do that just fine and just kill your opponent with that. So that's certainly an option. So it is another way to just kind of abuse landfall triggers. Kind of gives you an alternate win condition, and it gives you kind of a distraction to keep your Lagac, which is how we really want to win. We want it in the janky way. We don't want to win like this kind of a jank. We want to win this kind of jank. Alright, some additional cards here. We got Vastwood Surge, sorcery speed, 4 mana. We get to tutor up 2 basic lands, put them on the battlefield tapped. So getting 2 landfall triggers is pretty sweet. And you can kick it to put plus some counters on each creature you control. So obviously with our Scute Swarm, if we've got our Scute Swarm army out, and we've got all this mana in the late game, we can just cast this, put a bunch of counters on all of our 1/1s, our 20, 60, however many Scute Swarm tokens we have, and then just kill your opponent that way. So that can be pretty insane. So that's why I'm running this instead of something, say like a Migration Path or something like that, which is kind of better because it cycles for 2. But really, this one just has more upside, so I think this is definitely the better card, at least in this particular build. We also have 2 copies here of the Ancient Greenwarden. It is a mythic, but it's a pretty sweet card. 6 mana for a 5/7 with Reach Elemental. You can play lands from your graveyard, and if land entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So basically, it's Land Harmonicon, right? So we're going to get double our triggers on our Spitfire Lagac and our Valakut Exploration. So yeah, this is pretty sweet, and it's going to let us grab a Fabled Passage out of our graveyard, and then crack our Fabled Passage, and go get another land, so get additional landfall triggers. That seems pretty good. And final here, we got Nahiri's Lithoforming. This is going to help us really kind of go off on the late game. It's X red for a sorcery speed. Sacrifice X lands. For each land sacrificed this way, draw a card. You can play X additional lands this turn, and lands you control enter the battlefield tapped. So they do enter taps, so you don't actually get to abuse them, but obviously you have a Lotus Cobra. You're still going to get that landfall trigger with manas. And if nothing else, you'll get your damage in with your Spitfire Lagac and your Valakut Exploration. So that's pretty sweet. All right, so we're running 26 lands. So we got the pathways, all 4 of them, which can come down as a green or a red mana. 9 mountain, 5 forest, 4 Temple of Abundance, and 4 Fabled Passage. Of course, Fabled Passage goes extremely well on a landfall deck, especially Lotus Cobras and things like that. So this is just a jank, best of 1 list. No reason to try to sideboard for this. All right, against Melroad. I mean, Radha and Scute Swarm is not terrible in the opening hand. We'll give it a try. Questions, do we lead Scute Swarm or Radha here? Opponent showing mono white. Let's lead Scute Swarm, try to go wide, maybe force him to use a board wipe. And then just kind of go from there. Getting that 0/4 wall down. Okay, all 3 planes, yeah. Looks like mono white. See if they have removal for our Scute Swarm, or they just want to hold up for a Shatter of the Sky, maybe. So we'll go ahead and fire off this Radha here. Maybe. Yeah, there you go. Alright, see what's on top of our library first. Okay, not a land. I guess we'll play it as a green source. We need to have 2 eventually. No reason to attack into a 0/4. Can also kill that with a Rebuke just to kind of start pressuring their life total. Those will probably just fire off this Vastwood Surge next turn. Let's get 1,000,000 landfall triggers. We'll be up to 6 lands, so Scute Swarm will start doing some crazy things. Love how the opponent's just holding priority every single second and not actually doing anything. Do we care about Temple? I mean, we're going to Vastwood Surge anyway, so I don't think it really matters. So we'll go ahead and fire this off now. Just go ahead and grab 1 of each, one up. It's a land anyway. Alright, I'm going to play the land off the top. Try to dig through our library. Alright, so just like that, we got 5 Scute Swarm tokens, so see, that's a nice alternate win condition. We do have the Lagac now as well, but you have to be careful about the board wipes, obviously. Though they're running like some 80-something, 90 cards. So the odds of them playing their board wipe, if they're even running that, are a little light. Okay, they're showing creatures, so we don't have to worry about that. Wow, actually getting value off the Idyllic Range. That's pretty insane. It's maybe the second time I've actually seen somebody actually get that value off of it. Okay, so they pacify our Radha. which is fine. We just mostly just want her for that ability there. Do you want a passage or just keep going for... I'll just keep digging here. Red. Greenwarden is pretty good. I guess we just kill the 3/2. Do we care if they... We'll keep the original, I guess, and just swing with the other 6. They can kill one of them. Alright, Greenwarden's going to come down next turn. We'll crack a Fabled Passage and just kind of keep doing some busted things. And Lithoforming could potentially finish them off a couple of turns as well. But they pack it in. They can't deal with our wide board state. Scute Swarm. Alright, begins Papa Chop Chop. Sure, we got a kill spell on 2, depending on what they play. And Scute Swarm into Vastwood Surge. Seems pretty solid. Still looking for the Lagac Exploration combo, but that's alright. Alright, Temple, what do we got? Azusa. She'll let us go off a little bit later. Do we want her now, though? I guess so. See if we can get some Azusa value here. Island. Gotta love that. Holding Purdy here with their opt. No. Just in full control mode. Alright, Simic. What do you got? A Lotus Cobra. No, Ominous Seeds. So they're just a draw 2, maybe? Well, we'll go and fire this off. Play the Pathway as a green source, I think. And then Vastwood Surge for more lands. Okay, they're a mill deck. Draw 2 mill, I guess. Definitely wrecks with our plans since we want to kind of dig through our library with a bunch of landfall triggers and things like that. But we'll give it a go. Turn 4 Cobra. A little bit late to the party. Still might get some value off that later, though. We'll see. Go and fire this off. Get 6 lands, and that'll make our Scute Swarm really nasty. Let's go and grab one of each. Oh, landfall triggers. No attacks. Alright, so we can probably kill the crab next turn, depending on what they do, just to slow down their ramp plan, or their mill plan. Nexus Wardens. So they're going to gain life when they cast enchantments. We've seen Ominous Seas. Folio is an artifact, yeah, it's an artifact. So I'm not sure what the other enchantments I might have. Maybe they're running the like blue removal enchantments, like Capture Sphere, or I don't know, can't remember what all is legal and standard right now. 2 Rebukes, so we can actually kill both of their creatures. Let's Cobra first, so we can get some manas and start doing some crazy things. After we kill their creatures, they might just concede here. Alright, well, definitely want to get the crab off the board so they don't mill us out like crazy here. Slow that down a little bit and get the wardens offline so they can't block or gain life. Azusa is nice, but she's not really doing a whole lot with where we're at right now, so we don't need to prioritize her, but she can definitely be pretty impactful later on. Simicars, I mean, they're not going to have like board wipes or anything like that, so not too worried about our Scute Swarm going wide here. If we keep going off, they're just going to have a hard time really keeping up. There's some, obviously some single bounce effects, but I don't think there's too many kind of go wide effects. Certainly nothing that's really playable. Alright, so they play the Zulaport Duelist at sorcery speed when they can flash that in at any time. Gotta love that. They just want the mill, they don't care about that. Especially when they give the -2, they could easily have gotten us in combat, but I guess we'll drop our Azusa here. million triggers here. It doesn't matter. Can't do anything else. Go to combats. Swing all, keep our Cobra and our original Scute Swarm alive, and make them deal with those 6 tokens. Obviously, if they flash in the Zulaport Duelists now, then they would also give our other Scute Swarms minus on their attack, and they would prevent basically an extra 2 points of damage, which could end up costing them. Although the way this is going, I don't think they have a way to deal with our board state, and they probably just lose from Scute Swarm triggers. So trying not to make this a Scute Swarm deck, but its card seems really good. At least for Jank play. I mean, it's a 3-mana 1/1, so obviously it's pretty fragile, but you know the Cobra is too, and it's still doing some pretty busted things as well. Letting us draw 2 cards with the folio. That's some pretty insane draws. And a Fabled Passage. All right, well, let's go off here. 1 mana's open. They can't really do much to stop us. Passage, I guess. Whew. I mean, we're just getting started here. We are just getting started. They're pretty much dead at this point. They're dead on board, but we want to showcase our deck. We want to showcase. There's our Lagac. Let's play that first then. Good game. Yeah, I know. We're doing our thing though. 1 of each. Alright, Lagac will trigger for 2. And resolve all. Arena doesn't like these sort of infinite, semi-infinite like combos like this. Alright, that's just like 90 triggers, and it's already, see how it's slowing down already? I mean, early access people are doing like a couple thousand triggers, which is just like, what's the point? Like, it's fun when you do it the first time, but after that, it's like, why? Alright, so Lagac and Exploration at least triggered a couple times, and then obviously if our opponent had a way to deal with our board state, we could still kill them with Lithoforming potentially. But obviously we're just gonna end this with the tokens and put our opponent kind of out of their misery. Just literally nothing that a Simic deck can do against us. So we'll just go ahead and end things here. Right. Swing all. Say good game. Alright, so that's 121 tokens that we would have been able to attack with next turn. That's pretty insane. Scute Swarm. Alright, against Jackal 1973. It's a pretty sweet 3 drops here. How do you want to sequence these? I mean, we want to play on curve. I mean, there's a good chance we'll draw a land, but if we don't, then obviously it's a little risky, so it's just safer to play the passage here. So say if we find like a Cobra, then we'll obviously want to play that on 2. And we can still play something, but it's a little bit safer just do it this way. We'll grab a forest for now. Temple. Okay. Perfect. I don't need 2 Scute Swarms. Just looking for a Spitfire Lagac or some of our ramp spells. But yeah, probably lead on the Scute Swarm. Some mono white life gain. No, Pride Mate rotated, but people still have this boring archetype. I don't understand. If you're one of those people, I'm sorry, but life gain is really boring archetype. I've seen Johnny's Pride Mate probably more than any other card except for basic lands since I've been playing Arena. But people like it, so it is what it is. But we can do some pretty busted things here. I mean, they're playing Heliod and Daxos and everything too, so I mean that's Probably something you could play in ranked, even. They have a pretty easy attack here. Alright, Exploration. Do we want to play that now? Maybe just Radha. Not a land. We're not blocking, so we'll go ahead and get in there for one. So obviously against mono white, we can just kind of go wide. But a lot of these decks are pretty cheeky and they run Shadow Disguise, even though they're a creature deck, which is kind of silly, but I guess it gives them protection from you know, other things like that, because their deck is pretty mediocre. Obviously it just folds to removal, but we're pretty light on removal, so could get the Valakut down just to try to do some things with that, but I think at this stage they're just Vastwood Surge. We don't care about the Lithoforming on top. We'd rather draw that later. And a Passage on top. We'll go and fire that off then. Keep digging through our library. Don't need another Scute Swarm, I don't think. Rather it be in the library still, so if they do wipe our board, we can just draw into it a little bit later on. And there isn't to attack here. So we have 11 Scute Swarm tokens, plus the 1 insect, and of course the original Scute and Radha. So Radha really comes in handy. We have all this mana now, so we can swing in if we want and just make her really, really big. 4 mana open, the opponent says go. That's, don't like that. So we're a little bit careful for board wipes. Let's get these Valakut Explorations down. We have 4 mana, so we can go and play this forest, get a Landfall trigger, and probably just cast the second one, I think, as it goes into exile, and then with 2 of them on the board, then we can kind of figure out where we want to go from there. And with all the we have plenty of mana to actually cast things if we want to, if we find like something we need, like a landfall spell or anything like that. Oh, that was rude. Disenchant. I mean, the weird thing is, like, the new Zendikar Rising, like, the enchantments and artifacts are pretty underwhelming. I mean, obviously there's some pretty busted things at the top end, but I don't know how, like, playable they are, so I don't know how much artifact and enchantment hit you need. Obviously, sideboard is always good, but main deck, I don't know. They can life gain here, so I think we'll just pass. The good thing is we had multiple explorations, so they killed our first one, but now we still have one on board. Okay, I guess they're not running Shadow Disguise, they just didn't draw. Right, against Tortilla Boy. Lotus Cobra, Vastwood Surge, Greenwarden. Not ideal in opening hand, but it's a pretty strong card, so we'll keep. And we have 4 lands, so we'll save the Fabled Passage for some landfall triggers. Hopefully. Alright, turn 2 Cobra, let's go. Opponent with the mulligan. Fairy avatar, so maybe they're on mill or something. So got tons of support. Red. Gruul maybe? Oh, one out of our Cobra. Yeah, no, nothing better going on. No reason really to save it. Oh, they don't have a response. That's interesting. They were still holding priority for some reason. Just playing the Rimrock Knight out as a creature. I guess we'll fire one of these off just because we can. Obviously, we'd rather have the landfall triggers later on. Oh, they can't block, and we're not blocking, so let's get in there for 2. Yeah, they are Gruul. So it's kind of a Gruul Adventures, Gruul Aggro. Hitting us for 3. Obviously, we're pretty bad against aggro. In for 6. It's pretty good. Rebuke. Alright, well, we got wrecked last time we didn't kill something we had the chance, so we're going to go ahead and fire that off. Obviously, we could still pay the price later on, but we'll see. We'll go and save the Surge. We need to try to get some actual landfall triggers that mean something. Otherwise, we're just going to grab all the basics out of our land and then not be able to do anything. There's a 4-2. It's kind of a Kind of sucks. So we'll fire this off. I don't love it, but we're going to go ahead and fire this off. We do need to find some answers. We still have plenty of lands, so we can still do some stuff. We'll go ahead and save this Fabled Passage to get some actual landfall triggers. Alright, so we got the Greenwarden next turn. So we got, what, 8 mana? And then the Fabled Passage represents additional couple of manas. So fire you off. Fire you off, and we can get the passage back next turn thanks to the Greenwarden. So that's pretty cool. We'll pass. We can just crack it during combat and get our Scute Swarm triggers then, especially if they go to kill it or something. But maybe they'll ignore it for now. And they have a 5/7 they have to deal with too. All right, becomes a 3/3. They're going to put a trample counter on it. Okay, so all of our Scute Swarm tokens aren't going to be great against trample. Yeah, we'll fire this off. Could wait and see what we draw, but since we're kind of in top deck mode anyway, and we can get it back with the Greenwarden. Pathway. That's not good. Well, we'll go ahead and fire this off. So Greenwarden triggers landfall twice, so that's why we're getting all this extra manas. And a million Scute Swarm tokens as well. Nothing to sink that mana into though. We have 24 tokens now, so they're going to have a hard time trampling through that. Trying not to win a Scute Swarm, but I don't know. I don't know if it's just these games or just in general. It seems like Arena just really wants Scute Swarm to do its thing. Horn Beetle. That's going to grow, become a 3/3. Just keep getting bigger and bigger. They can't attack in with their 5/5. And eventually we're just going to swarm them. Maybe they're giving up. We'll throw 10 here. Here. We'll throw all of them there. What do you got? Embercleave? Nope, can't even cast Embercleave with 2 manas open. 2 creatures attacking. Rimrock Knight doesn't get it done. There's not really much they can do here. Can I shoot my Lotus Cobra, my Scute Swarm down? Yeah, opponent's pretty much dead if they're just suiciding their creatures like this. And now you fire off the Scorching Dragonfire after I got all those triggers. And that's one way to do it. That is one way to do it. Well, we still have the Scute Swarm copies. Just keep firing off this passage. Let's swing all, save the Cobra. We have 36 tokens. And they're basically dead. They can only block one thing, so. Alright, yeah, that's how you beat Gruul and stuff like that. You just make a million tokens. Alright, against Aaron. It's not ideal, but we do have a kill spell and a ramp spell. There's our Lagac, perfect. Yeah, go and lead on Forest here. And kill whatever they play. Nope. So obviously Rebuke is pretty frustrating at times being a sorcery, but so they are playing life game. That's pretty annoying. Well, unfortunately, we have to take a turn off just to kill that because Angel can get pretty out of hand. I mean, we're a damage deck, so we don't really want our opponent gaining a bunch of life on us. Let's get the Lagac down first. I mean, that's what we're trying to do. We have to figure out how we want to sequence this next turn. Get Scute Swarm into land. Cobra. I'll grab a red source here. A couple more triggers. Yeah, we'll attack 3. These decks don't usually run pumps. We could have like Moment of Triumph or something, I guess. Maybe that was a little risky. These mono white decks do some really cheeky things sometimes, like Shadow to the Skies and things like that. Like, you're all in creatures, but then you're running board wipes. Like, okay. Like they have a removal spell, Banishing Light, Pacifism or something. Trying to figure out which creature to put it on. We actually don't mind, those pacify effects because we just have all these triggered abilities and we just kind of go off and do crazy things. So we'll fire off the Vastwood Surge, I believe. Give us some landfall triggers. Okay, opponent. You gonna do anything, or are you gonna pass the turn? There we go. So yeah, we'll go and fire off the Surge. One of each seems fine. And I guess we can fire off this Exploration and try to go off next turn with it. No attacks. We're up to 7 lands. We're gonna pacify our Lagac. Okay. So well, obviously would have been some pretty. They already some pretty busted things there. Depending on what we drew land. We could have actually just kicked this and just start putting counters on things. I'm actually kind of curious which would happen first. Would you get the landfall triggers first and then the counters? So you might not actually get these counters on all the new tokens, but you still always grow your existing board. And then we have the Lithoforming also to kind of do some pretty insane things. Probably not worth casting just yet on this board, but yeah. Alright, Cobra into Scute Swarm seems decent. Obviously Lithoforming isn't really great in our opening hand, but that's alright. We got 4 lands, we can bottom that. We play this other green source, we'll see if we draw them. Alright, opponent also on Gruul. Fire off this Cobra. Then get our Scute Swarm down and go from there. Hopefully we can find our Spitfires. I don't know what is about the shuffler, like been seeing Scute Swarm like pretty much like every single game, and it's a 3 of. But then like Spitfire Lagac is like, and the Valakut Exploration are like our main win conditions, and they're 4 ofs, and we see them not quite as often, it seems like. I guess that's just kind of the randomness. Alright, our opponent on a go big strategy here, Warden of the Chained. Just a little bit annoying. We want to kind of have time to set up our board state here with the Spitfires and just kind of do some fun landfall stuff. But if you're going to play these big beefy creatures with trample and everything like that, it's going to be makes things difficult for us. We'd have the Thundering Rebukes to give us some interaction, but also need to draw into that. 3 mana's open here. They don't even attack with their Warden. We're not blocking. I'm not losing these Spitfires. Way too valuable. I don't know why you're looking at your creatures. You have a ramp through or some fight spell. Get some landfall triggers. Yeah, nothing else for me. I'm not going to play these Lithoforms just yet. I don't know why you let me get a trigger first. Now I get a free insect token. Okay, you already have trample on your creatures. Cool, it's got trample and it's got a trample counter. That's pretty cool. Oh boy. We needed a land to get this 5/7 down. So we might just lose now without a Scute Swarm. We really needed those tokens to kind of protect us. Although trample, it's pretty... it's going to be pretty difficult. But always having a 5/7 gives us a chance. Alright, there we go. There we find a land. I guess we'll play it as a green source. I guess they're worried about their Luca. Right, now we got a nice 5/7. Hopefully that'll keep them at bay for a little bit. Obviously, like a Vastwood Surge or something like that would be pretty ideal. We'd have the Lithoforming potentially, but it's a little risky. Let's see, we can do it for up to X equals 4. Do we really want to sack 4 lands though? We're not drawing any lands, so they're definitely still in the deck. They got some big beefy creatures over there. Let's get Azusa down. Do we just play this for 1? Doesn't seem very good. We'll just pass. So unfortunately we're a little bit stalled out here, but pretty explosive power if we can just string together like some decent pieces. Our opponent missed last time, but now they're kind of hitting everything. Leafkin Avenger. I don't know what's up with these Gruul decks. I've been seeing a lot of these this weekend. I don't know if somebody made a budget deck or what's going on. Vastwood Surge is perfect. Let's grab one of each. Oh yeah, look at all those triggers. Thanks to the Greenwarden doubling them up. I'll add red. Red. I think we'll go ahead and fire one of these off for 4. Why not? And then even a couple lands here would help us maybe try to close out this game. 2, 3, 4. Greenwarden says we can play lands from our graveyard. The Lithoforming says we can play additional X lands, and Azusa as well. So yeah, I think we've got this. Do we want to cast a Cobra for any reason? Might as well. And yeah, pretty sure our opponent's just dead at this point. Alright, finally getting there with the Lagac. Alright, so we got 8 more triggers. That's going to be... put them down to 1. Yep. Opponent with a nice. Alright, one more land. Good game. Oh yeah, we got there. We got there, finally. Finally. Yep. Alright, so no Valakut Exploration, but we did get there with the Spitfire Lagac, and that was the main build around there for me. Let's try one more though. I do want to get that Valakut Exploration though to kind of go off, if possible. Alright, against Imogen. Alright, there's our Valakut Exploration. Let's see if we can get that to go off this time. Greenwarden's nice too, especially we can find some of our own Fabled Passages. Alright, Forest. So we got 4 lands, perfect. So we can get this Exploration into Vastwood Surge. Field over there. Well, we got plenty of basics, and we like landfall triggers. So I'm not really sure Field of Ruin is a good card in the current meta right now. Not sure that's where you want to be. Don't have enchantment hate, please. I know you're in green, but just don't kill it. And Dryad, okay, Simic. Well, we're going to fire off this Vastwood Surge and get some triggers for our Valakut Exploration. 3 colors. 4 colors. Yeah, let's get that off the board. If they're running that many colors, so that they're trying to do some greedy stuff, let's punish them for that. Temple of Abandoning. Alright. Ping you for 1. We're going to get this Vastwood Surge off and do some crazy things. Alright, opponent's deck is kind of all over the place. Happily Ever After. Don't get to draw a card. Still a little ways from actually getting the requisite pieces in place. Still play a land. Alright, 2 more. So obviously we don't like life gain. They did gain 5, but then we did 2. Which we don't really care about too much, especially with what they're doing. Playing 5 colors and running things like Daxos, I'm not sure I understand that. I mean on paper it says you gain life, but this doesn't really seem very good in my opinion, honestly, with what they're trying to do. Seems like there's better ways to kind of go off with Happily Ever After than, you know, mana-intensive spells like that. Scute Swarm. Do we want to try to win wide with Scute Swarm? No, we want to with Valakut Exploration this time. Lands. We have lots of lands, so we can bottom all those. Alright, take 1. It's getting a little confusing over here. The Greenwarden says these 2 lands in our graveyard we can cast, we can replay them. You can exile my Greenwarden? Come on, dude. Nope. I guess they could also target the Valakut Exploration as well. So if they see that getting out of hand, they might choose to target that. Obviously, Lithoforming works extremely well with the Greenwarden, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I don't like this Daxos, so we're going to kill that. I don't want you gaining life just by playing creatures. Can't be that easy. Fire you off. 1 of each. So we got Lotus Cobra. And another Rebuke. And Azusa. Do we want Azusa? Azusa could pretty disgusting on this board. Yeah, we'll play Azusa. I don't think we need to kill the Sage of Mysteries. We have a Temple. Oh god, Fabled Passage. Yeah, we don't want Scute Swarm. Take a Lagac though. There it is. Can't cast it. Come on, opponent. I'm just getting started over here. Man. I mean, unless they have a way to deal with this, which they do have Calyx, so they could target that, which is pretty annoying, but then we still have the Greenwarden as a 5/7 body, which they might be more worried about that. But it's kind of depends on how they read the board state. But yeah, we're kind of going off and doing some pretty busted things. Unfortunately, they didn't let us actually go off, but they were looking at could have cracked the Fabled Passage there to get an additional land trigger, which this would mean that triggers twice. So we would have, I believe these 2 lands are just under the Greenwarden. So we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus 2. So we'd be doing 8 damage to them off of the Valakut Exploration on our end step. And then next turn we can just Fabled Passage again, plus Azusa doing some pretty nasty things, plus Lithoforming, Vastwood Surge. I mean, yeah, we could have definitely cut our opponent there, but unfortunately they just didn't let us play it out because they're just their deck is kind of nonsense with, I don't know, it's all these 1-ofs. You need like as many kind of multicolored spells like this, and not you know, mana intensive things like Daxos or Daxos. I mean, with two white. Like you need at least play like multicolored things like Calyx, so you can kind of get your so you can meet your requirements for Happily Ever After. But yeah, Happily Ever After is kind of a forgotten card, obviously. Saw some play, and I built a version of it myself, and now it's just kind of been forgotten about because it's one of those kind of hard to build around cards and just doesn't really take quite a bit of effort to get it set up and get it going. But yeah, pretty cool. Unfortunately, they did not let us play it out, but yeah, we definitely would have been able to kill them with the Valakut Exploration, unless, of course, they decided to remove it, which they did have a way to do that, but potential was definitely there to get that Exploration win. Alright, so yeah, pretty fun little deck. Scute Swarm is obviously just kind of a broken card. Like, we weren't even trying to win with it, and we won like our first few games with this, even though we didn't really want to. Like, obviously, I'd rather just have this as basically defense against other kind of creature decks, or just kind of an alternate win condition if we can't, find our Lagac or our Exploration for whatever reason, or their opponent just kills them. But yeah, Radha and Azusa work extremely well together, especially when with our Landfall strategy, and the Cobra as well, letting us kind of do some big mana plays as well with like our Lithoforming and that sort of thing. Obviously, Vastwood Surge is nice to get 2 Landfall triggers, but once you kind of get all that mana and get your engine going, the Lithoforming in the late game can be super insane. Just kind of go turbo and sack a million lands and get a million triggers, especially with like Azusa in play, like that last game. If they didn't answer our Valakut Exploration, we've been able to just kind of kill them with that. And then you do need some interactions, so Thundering Rebuke is kind of what I'm going with, just to fill out the 2-drop slot. I'm not sure it's ideal, but I think the 4 toughness is kind of where you want to be, so it's kind of your best option. I mean, you have Scorching Dragonfire, but there's just there's too many creatures that go up to 4 toughness that you need to kind of deal with, and you're gonna have a hard time if you can't. We're pretty light on interaction anyway, so we kind of have to do the most efficient one we can. Unfortunately, this is a sorcery speed, so it's a bit of a downside there, obviously. But overall, we're just trying to play some jank and just do some crazy things. Hopefully, our opponent doesn't kill our board. We can just kind of go off, and yeah, hopefully you get the Spitfire Lagac triggers, which if you have multiples of these out and you start doing your landfall things. It's pretty insane. Valakut Exploration also can ping your opponent pretty impressively, and Azusa and Radha really kind of help you get to that point. And Radha is kind of a pretty powerful threat on her own, so there's some kind of built-in alternate win conditions as well with the Scute Swarm and Radha. And yeah, Greenwarden being a 5/7, I guess, could be, if your opponent's not playing creatures or something, maybe. But yeah, obviously the Fabled Passage extremely well, and then the Pathways are pretty sweet cards. Obviously, you don't have these, that's fine. It might even be better to just run more basics, but just the flexibility that these provide are definitely worth it. If you do have them, just run however many you have. And just remember that they're basically, it's basically a dual land. So affect that, so you can basically change how you do your mana base. So you definitely go down mountains to forest, something like that, but we have so much red pips here. Yeah, 8/6 probably a little better, cleaner split, just to guarantee you Cobras on 2 and things like that. But you have the temples and you have the pathways, so mana base isn't too much of a problem. You do have lots of we are pretty red intensive, so definitely want to lean towards that. Yeah, probably 8/6, probably a little bit cleaner split there. I think I probably didn't quite fix that from some of the adjustments that I've been making to the deck. Gone a little bit more green with Azusa and Radha, and Scute Swarm, obviously. But yeah, feels pretty strong the way it is. I tried like Shatter Skull smashing and things like that, but it just felt pretty awkward. Obviously, we'd have lots of mana that we can potentially seek into it in the late game, but I found that once we get to the late game, you're really just trying to go off and do your landfall things and not really trying to kill your opponent's creatures. At that point, you just need that early interaction to kind of stave off the early aggro, and then you can kind of basically take over it in the late game with landfall triggers. So yeah, just having lower interaction has been much more effective in my opinion. And so that's why we're running the Rebuke instead of like some of the big Expel type things or whatever. Yeah, so this is the list. Thanks for watching, guys. Till next time, make sure you jank with